The following story content comes from netizens' contributions. On a hot day, Lydia is going back to her mother's house. My mother's family called and said she was ill. Lydia is married, but she is still a relatively filial woman. She finished her housework that day. Simply pack your luggage and set off. Lydia's mother's home is far away. It takes several hours to cross the mountains and hills. At that time, roads were not as convenient as they are now. Even where there are roads, there are no buses. There is even less space for passengers. Going back to my mother's house requires passing through a river. Still have to wade across the river. Sometimes it rains a lot in this season. If it's afternoon, the river is flooded. It was more difficult to cross the river at that time. For people like Lydia who can't swim. If the river rises, she really didn't dare to go there. So, she chose such a sunny day. When we got to that road, even if you are alone, you can go to the shallower place. Lydia reached the river. It was noon. The scorching sun shines on the earth, as if to dry up the river in front of me. Lydia left some gifts from around the house. This is for my mother's house. At that time, I visited relatives. Most of them are local specialties from home. Every time Lydia goes back to her mother's house. But you have to bring some things. Nothing to give. I can only find new ways to send things from my own home, because I carry a lot of things. I walked for an hour or two in such hot weather. Dry mouth is inevitable. A little tired. She was about to cross the river. Sit down and rest for a while. After crossing the river, we can reach our mother's home in an hour. So Lydia is not busy. I think it's still early. Or take some more rest. Wait until the sun sets before leaving. Cooler then. Not so hot anymore. There is a place across the river. Washed by the river, a relatively large pool of water was formed. This pool is bottomless. In the sun, it is like a huge piece of jade, lying in the river. Also quite spacious. Local residents, and gave this pond a name, Wanjiatang, because when the river flows through here, turned a corner, the water flow is faster on the bend. So a natural large pool was formed. Wanjiatang. It seems like a swimming pool built in a dam. The water area is just right. It is said that the depth here is several tens of meters. Under the rocks on the shore, there is also a big hole. Even people with great skills can hardly reach the bottom of the river. No one knows how big the hole is. This is indeed a swimming pool. A natural swimming pool. Whenever summer comes, many people gather in this bay pond every day, and swimming in it. Today is no exception. Many people gathered in Wanjiatang. Male-female. There are old and young people. It's so lively. The sound of lively conversation, accompanied by the splashing sound of people diving into the water, resounding throughout the valley, echoing throughout the mountains. Those who can swim swim around in the water. Those who can't swim can soak in shallow water. Enjoy the cool world in the water. It is said that this Wanjiatang is quite evil. One person drowns every summer. The young man who died in this pool almost lost count. Despite this, still can't stop people from escaping the heat and cooling off. The passion of playing in the water here. Even if someone drowns today, tomorrow, a large number of people will still flock to the pond. Crazy water play. Passionate travel. No fear at all. Everything seems normal. It doesn't seem strange after hearing it many times. Once, There is a person who is very good at swimming. Drowned in it. It took a long time to be discovered. The body was swollen by water. Like a ball with limbs floating on the water. A few days later, another person fell into the water. This time, he was swept into a cave at the bottom of the river. Didn't float up. No one present dared to dive into the water to salvage the fish. Finally, there is no other way. Family members rushed over after hearing the news. There is no way. Lastly, I heard that there was a person nearby who was very good at holding his breath. So I paid him to salvage it. As the saying goes, a big reward will always bring courage. This guy is money hungry. So I agreed. The river is too deep. I can't even reach the bottom of the river. But the people who live by the river, naturally rich experience in diving. He picked up a big stone. Diving to the bottom of the river. Pull out the body. So many people died. Many people say, drowned ghosts gathered on this riverbank? Even so, still can't stop these brave people who take chances and play in the water. Lydia naturally doesn't know these things. I haven't heard anyone mention it to him. If she knew, I would never dare to rest in this place. Lydia saw so many people playing and frolicking in the water. I couldn't help wanting to join in the fun. I have never lived by the river since I was a child. In such good weather. She hadn't seen such a lively scene many times. She put down her things on her back. Walked to the beach. The entire river around Wangjiatang. All are pebbles of different sizes. It's very comfortable to step on. Lydia is at a shallow spot near the pool. Because I don't know. She just stood a little further away from the crowd. He found a relatively flat stone. Sit on it. Take off your shoes. Roll up your trouser legs. Dip your feet into the river. The water is slightly cool and comfortable. As if all heat and all the fatigue, all of it vanished in that instant. Sudden. Lydia senses something underwater. She thought someone was swimming over from under the water. Touched her feet. She immediately retracted her feet. Looking down at the water. This sight brought me back to my senses. The water here is so shallow. It can also submerge up to the thigh. How come someone would swim over here? Thinking in my heart. Is there a big fish swimming in the water? Lydia didn't care. 9 times out of 10, it's a fish swimming by. She continued to put her feet into the water. Continued to enjoy the coolness brought by the cold river water. After a while, she felt something again. Before she could lift her feet. But obviously felt her ankle tightly. She was suddenly grabbed by a hand. Becoming overwhelmed. She looked down into the water. I can't see anything in the water. Crystal clear. This scared her. She instinctively raised her legs and struggled. The other leg is lifted up. But one foot was firmly grasped. I can't pull it out of the water. And she clearly felt the hand grabbing her. Slowly pull it underwater. And the strength is getting stronger. As strong as a man's hand. An instinctive reaction. Lydia held on tightly with both hands. In a hollow in a large rock. On a stone. Pull up hard. But I can't pull it out. The hand is getting stronger and stronger. It seemed as if he was determined to drag her into the water. Lydia can't swim. I'm naturally more afraid of falling into the water. She struggled desperately. Fear made her scream hoarsely. Except for the screams of fear. She seemed to have forgotten to cry for help. She wanted someone to help her. But at this moment, she is like a mute who cannot speak. Just a series of screams. Lydia struggled and looked around. In the pond not far away. People still cheer. Playful. The sound in the water echoes in the valley, covering up her screams of fear. No one noticed her unusual behavior. Lydia keeps struggling. While struggling, I saw that the water surface was unusually calm. Struggling for a long time. But not a single splash or wave was created. This made Lydia even more scared. Fear takes over my heart. This is definitely not a human prank. This is a ghost. It must be a ghost. Someone must have mentioned it. The ghost of a drowned person is causing trouble. Think of this. Lydia struggled madly. She tried her best. I want to break free from that invisible hand. But it's no use. The hand still tightly grasped her ankle. The feet hurt from being pinched. Pain and fear take over my heart. Lydia was so scared that she cried. I was afraid I would be dragged into the water and drown. Crying still did not attract the attention of the people in the pond. No one even looked in my direction. Lydia is a little desperate. I thought my life. I'm afraid I'll be buried here. Despite this, Lydia didn't give up. Still struggling. Kick and kick into the water. She could hear her feet kicking in the water. Finally, the hand seemed to give in. Released her. The moment I let go of her, because of struggling too hard, fell down and bit the mud. Fell heavily on a big rock. She doesn't care so much. In panic, she picked up her shoes and ran to the road not far away. Running on the sandy road. Cut my feet. But I don't know. Run to the road. The moment she put on her shoes. Seeing your ankle. Leaving 5 deep fingerprints. Being pinched to purple. Look at these fingerprints. The panic just now has not completely dissipated. At this moment, fear surged into my heart again. There's nothing in the water. But he pulled out 5 finger marks on his feet. He couldn't help but feel creepy again. She just felt cold all over. Cold sweat. It seems like every hair on my body stood up. Lydia was busy carrying her things and lost them. My mother's house like a ghost. She didn't feel the heat during the trip. I just felt a chill in my spine. She seemed to feel that something was following her along the way. Lydia gets nervous at the slightest movement of a flower or a tree. She ran. The journey originally took 1 hour. She arrived in half an hour. I arrived at my mother's house. Sweating a lot. Panting. Sitting on the stool, I couldn't say a word. The old mother dragged her sick body. Seeing Lydia's horrified look. I feel really bad. The family asked her what happened. This is my mother's family. Lydia slowly calmed down. Rest for a while before speaking. She passed Wanjiatang on the way. The bad things that happened were told. He also said that he was almost dragged into the water and drowned. This is empty talk. Everyone is also half believing and half doubting. Lydia rolled up her trouser legs. Revealed the 5 fingerprints. Everyone believed what she said. Then my father spoke up. Many people drowned in Wanjiatang. I can't remember since I was a kid. Every year. So it's more evil there. Some people are okay. It's just eerie when no one is around. When there are many people, the yang energy is high. Those who are alone. Often dragged down and drowned by water ghosts. Those drowned ghosts. He had to find someone to take his place in the water. Only then can he escape and be reborn. Otherwise he won't be able to be reborn. I can only do one. A ghost in the water. My father said this. It really scared everyone. Mother staggered from the incense board in the house. Found some paper money. Take it outside and burn it. I kept saying that I was burning it for the ghost today. Tell him to stop bothering Lydia. After burning the paper, the family finally felt relieved. Everything will be fine when you get home. Okay, friends, in response to the audience's request, we have added a new channel for brain-opening stories. The next video name is People Who Don't Exist.